What's up, everybody? Today's January 22nd, 2020. This is the stand-up meeting for Tico's CS24_Tico group. Today, we are getting ready to tackle the sprint challenge, graphs sprint challenge tomorrow. So tonight, we're going to be discussing today's module on graphs. And then also, we are going to be working on doing a review session for tomorrow's sprint. So let's get these people in here. Let's see. Sorry about that, Luis. You probably clicked on the other link, didn't you? Yeah, I got to change that in the reminders.
I was just saying that.
Yeah. I wonder if, is the other one doing it too? No, that one's good. Let me change that. What's up, Obeda? Sorry, bro. I just got back from doing that stuff for Luce. Is your code, you still having that trouble?
I'm still having only work half the time.
Okay.
And
We'll look at it.
It's because well, I mean, I know the issue. I just know how to get past it.
Okay. Maybe somebody will have some insight that'll just bing, light bulb moment. Yeah, let me change this reminder here though. Remind Bryant. Let's see. Okay. We need to. Both of those reminders, huh? I'll change that afterwards. Okay. Let's get these other people in here. Come on now. Okay, so Catherine won't be here. She is at an appointment. Let's get Tanya in here, Jade. Okay, I should do it. All right, let's go ahead and start. We're like 4 minutes past. Let's go breakthrough. Let's go with Luis.
I knew you were gonna pick me.
Well, actually, I was hoping that maybe your breakthrough could give your boy right down here in the order right here, Obeda, some breakthrough, or maybe Brian even too. He's still working on it.
My breakthrough was in the traversal/search spot. I was using so what I was doing was I was making the dictionary hold an array for each path. And there they are. Hi.
Hello, sorry for being late. Lost track of time.
Luis is just doing his breakthrough right now.
Yep. This is in the last part. Yeah, so the dictionary that holds the visited. I was creating an array for each item in there with the path for whichever friend we're targeting. And I ended up actually changing that from an array to a set because I just could not get it to not do duplicates. I don't know if it's the way I did looping or whatever, but it just kept adding in like it would do the right path, but each node was like listed twice except for the root.
Mhm.
So I was like, I don't know. I can't filter it out. Everything I tried only made it worse somehow. So I was just like, screw it. And I turned it into a set, and now it's fine. It's just unordered.
Okay. Did it print? Did you use like the same code from like the BFS? Very similar code from
Close.
there. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, my BFS used when I built it the first time, I actually used like a string, and then just printed that instead of like, well, I returned like a format string, but this time I didn't. I used the set. So I mean, it's
Gotcha.
really really close, but it's not exact.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
We'll go with Brent because you look like this.
He angry.
I'm angry. Yeah, breakthrough. I'd say just getting it set up. So I just got the populate graph, and honestly, I haven't really gone down the next second function very much. Just looking at that now, but I was figuring out. I spent probably a little too much time on setting up the friendships, and
Friendships take time, Bryant.
that's true. That's true. Keep reminding myself that. Yeah. I probably spent a little too much time on just setting it up how I wanted to. But yeah, now that I've got my friendships set up, now we'll see how they're connected. So, speaking of friendships, who's next? Tani.
Hello. So I realized that in Brady's graphs 3, like day 3 lecture, at the very end, like the last 25 minutes, he walks you through doing the like the populate graph, but in a very detailed fashion, explaining it step by step, which helped me because I was stuck. So perhaps that's not the right way, but it was wonderful. And then Jade and I worked together on the last part, but she had the solution making breakthrough. So speaking of Jade.
So as Tani's saying, we were working on it together, and I realized part of my problem, I don't know if it's like a problem, but sometimes I'm trying to I don't start off with what we're given in class as a solution first and then try to debug that way. So I talked to one of my friends from my previous TL group, and he we kind of swapped what we did for the ancestor challenge, and he showed me a solution of using breadth first, but then kind of how to go through and put it into what we're using for the social. So he didn't like give me the answer, but he kind of talked me through it, and we just went back and forth before Tani and I, and after I talked to Tico. So using what he used for the ancestor, I kind of just plugged it in and then printed all over the place to figure out what I needed to change. Because my biggest question was, if you're using the BFS, it's usually you give a starting vertex and the destination vertex. So I was trying to figure out how to like actually use, or what we would plug in, because the only thing we're getting in is the user ID. And then I realized the other vertexes that we're trying to find is in self.friendships dictionary. And by plugging those in, I was able to use what was already given in class and then come up with a solution. So yeah, that was my breakthrough.
Very nice. Very nice.
Anybody else?
Oh, Beta, I believe, is the last one to go. Catherine will be here tonight. She's an appointment.
Okay, popcorn or Beta.
Yeah, so I guess I half baked through. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And it's because of the way I set up my, it's the way I'm setting up my friendships. I'm doing it like I'm doing a random range between all the numbers in the self.index, what is it? Self.users. So it only works half the time. So I guess it's half a big through. But both functions work when it works, and then when it doesn't work, nothing works. It's like a infinite loop. That's where I'm at.
I love when Obeda's like, he's like silent, like he's muted, like he's usually like headphones on, and you can only see like just right up to here, and just like this the whole time, like, oh my gosh, dude, like, why can't I get this code to work, dude? Seriously, dude. Sorry. Okay, back to what we're doing. So I figured for tonight, we could debug for a little bit. I have to get off by 8:30 p.m. Eastern. I have an interview tomorrow that I need to study for. And then I figured we could do a, thanks. I figured we could do a sprint challenge review tonight too, to help give you guys a leg up. Kind of the same way that we do like the game planning meetings or whatever. We just kind of go through, walk through the README and just help people clarify and understand what they're like looking for. So let's go with Mr. Obeda's code because he looks the most frustrated.
Okay. All right. So this is when it works, and then this is when it doesn't work. And it has to do with the way I'm populating my graph. I'm just curious how people set up their, how they decided which friends go to which users. The way I did it was I created a random list of friends between 0 and 4, well 0 and 5, but to 4. So it would give me a list of friends. So it could be like 2, 0, 3, whatever, and then the average is going to equal whatever the average is that they sent us. And then I came in here and then I say for I, so each user, if they're pretty much, if they have more than 0 friends, then we go through the length of the friend. And as long as it's less than, and the reason this exists is because when you create friends, it creates it for both the original I and then whatever you're doing next for the random number. And then I said while the length doesn't equal the distribution of friends, then you do a random num equals random.randrange1 and the number of users. But the problem is that the way it's set up, so for example right here, every single user that can have another user is already taken up. So now we're stuck with like, for example, if I'm on I, which is, let's say user 7 can take 3 friends, but everyone else I can take friends already filled up. So it's kind of stuck because the way I set it up is I used a random range. If that makes any sense. So, well,
Does anybody have any insight?
Well, I do have a question.
yeah, go for it.
The terminal here, I see we have like we have like a list here that has like 310431. What is that?
So that's a distribution of friendships. So for example, I 0. So when I guess 1. So the first user. Sorry, where's the function? So it's, let's say they're giving us some users are 10, right?
Yeah.
So I'm saying while it's true, you're going to add the user and then subtract 1. And so then once we hit 1, so now once we're done with this, now we have a list of 1 through 10, right?
Yeah.
Users. and then I find a distribution pretty much of the same length. So now I have a list of 10 numbers that are randomly distributed across the board of how many friends each user is going to have. So now user 1 will have 3, 1, 0, 4, whatever, right? So user 3 will have 0, and so on and so forth till you hit the end. And then this right here is going like, okay, now at user 10, you can have 3 friends. Oh, sorry, this is going to be distribution random num. So yeah, okay. So I go through it. So I say for I and stuff.user. So let's say now you're at user 1. You're saying if the distribution of friends, because this is I minus 1, because stuff.user starts with 1 and my array starts with 0. So 1 minus 1 is 0, right? So then you're saying if the number here is 0, it's not, it's 3. Then you can come down and work on this. Now that you're saying here, if the length of the friendships of I, so friendships of I, which would be 1, right now this is the first round of the for loop, it's going to be less than 3, right? Because no friends have been created. And then it comes down to the while loop, and it says for the length of all the friends, if it doesn't equal the distribution, so the number that's 3, right? That's what the first number is here for this example. And then you say, okay, random num. So now random num is going to be based off of the random range between 1 and the number of users. So 1 through 11, because the range has to go to 10. And then you're saying if the length of this is less than, so the length of this random number, right? Because if the random number is 8, but you've already reached the max length you can have for 8, then you don't want to do anything. You can't use this random num anymore. Because 8 can only have, let's say, 0 friends. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's making sense. I guess for the solution for creating the users, I kind of did a very simplified version of it by, I did a foreign range, and then I put 0 as the start, and then I actually used num users. And then within that foreign range, I just called self.add underscore users to actually add them, because Brady had said in order to create, every time you have like 10 users, you're going to get a total friendships of 20. So the first question on number 3 was like, to create 100 users with an average of 10 friends, how many times would you call add friendship? So that kind of clued me in. If we can use just the num users of 10, that can actually just generate those users randomly. Oh, so you're just using a while loop?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry, I didn't see that top part.
Yeah. I'm curious how you all did this part, because this really threw me off. Because like I said, it only works half the time. So it works now, but it won't work later. So how did you all figure out how to make sure that there's no clash in filling up?
I did the Brady solution, which I can show you if you want.
Can you share that, please?
I can try.
So Beta, is it exactly 50% of the time that it works, or is it like it's random?
It's random. It's because it's a random. I'm randomizing it, so it is random. Right. I'm just saying 50 because sometimes it'll work like 6 in a row, and then it won't work.
Right.
For like.
I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that you have like one of your arrays you said is 0 index and the other one is not.
Yeah, so I took that into account. That's why it's always I minus 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what Tiny's got going on here.
Okay. So I just coded along with Brady for this. So first he's looping through, he's using the number of users which you pass in as his range, because that's how many times you're going to want to that's how many times you're going to want to add a list of friends. So like say if you have 10 users, you want to and you're doing like the matrix from the island. Do you remember the island problem where you have rows and columns? Each row is would be like one user's list of friends, And then you, so each column represents a friend. And then you go down to the next row and it would be like another user and their list of friends. Does that make sense?
Would you be willing to print some stuff out as you're going through?
Oh yeah,
code
let
here
me
as well,
uncomment.
please? Thanks, Tony.
But anyway, so you're gonna use this as your range because you want to add that many amount of users. So if you want to have 10 users, then you have to call it 10 times. So that's why I'm using that for the range. And then you're creating an empty list, and it's going to hold all the different combinations that you could have for your friendship. Because the goal is to have an average number of friendships. For example, if you want 2 to be your average number of friendships, some of them could have no friends, some of them could have 3 friends, 4 friends, etc. So you want your average to be 2, right? So this is going to hold different combinations. So
but
then,
how do you make sure it's going to be that? Like, how do you make sure the average is 2? You're just saying, yeah. So I'll actually let you just finish.
so that'll, like, you're gonna pass. So down here is gonna be important in specifying that. Like, so you're taking your the average amount of friendships, which are going to be doubled because it includes. So if number 1 adds 3, like if they're friends, it shows up as 2 friendships when in fact it's just 1 friendship because they've become friends. So you're going to take whatever that average friendship number is, that total, and you're dividing it by 2 because that'll be the accurate amount. And you're doing that for each, like for the number of users, because each of them is going to have like they're going to have the same average. They might not have the exact same amount, but the average is supposed to come out to 2. If that makes sense. So you're first looping, you're grabbing user ID, or you're using user ID from the self.users. And it's going to grab all of the primary IDs for all of the users. And in this for loop down here, you're going to take your friend ID. And the range that you're going to pass in will be your user ID plus 1, because you want to make sure that your friend ID is always larger than your user ID. That was one of the specifications. So that's what this plus 1 is doing. And then you want to take the last ID and add 1, because whenever you do range, it's not inclusive. So the plus 1 makes sure that you get all of them. So that's what that's doing there. And then he did it interestingly. So he did a tuple. So he appended a tuple with the user ID and the friend ID into the list up here. So he goes through every combination of user and friend and appends it into there, the combinations into this friendship array. So then the next part, just to make it random, so we did the import random at the top, and then you do random.shuffle, and shuffle's built in.
So, sorry. So the randomness is not from the numbers being appended. The randomness is just the order of where the numbers are.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because so basically the possible friendships, which I can print. So I'm going to print unshuffled, and then I'll show you the shuffled in that print statement, okay? And let me make sure I get rid of everything else. I'll get rid of that. Dun, dun, dun. We're over here. Okay. So it's giving us like all the possibilities that you can have here in tuple form. So if you think of it as like the matrix, that matrix setup, one can have 2 as a friend. It can be 1 and 3, 1 and 4. So it gives you every single possibility. And then down in the shuffled, if you look at it, the orders have changed. So it's just completely different tuple orders. Let's see. So like 3, 5 is here, there. In the unshuffled, it's up there. Down here, it's at a completely different location, which I lost. Oh, here. So it's at the end here. Yeah. So the order of the tuples has changed. So that's all that was being changed there. And then once you have your shuffled list, so it's randomized now, you're going to, so here's the formula that we kind of talked about. The number of times that you're going to call add friend will be equal to the average friend amount that you pass in times your amount of users divided by 2. And so with that in mind, we can set our range equal to the number of users times average friendships divided by 2. And obviously prevent floats with that. And then, let's see. So then we have, we're just storing this temporarily, like the I, like whatever one we're on currently. And then we're gonna add 0 and 1 because that gives us the user ID and the friend ID. I don't know if that was helpful, but.
No, this is super helpful. This is way more straightforward than what I did. This is
hey, well, I got this from Brady, so it better be pretty solid, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I can drop that, or I also put the link. But if you don't want to watch the whole thing, I can drop like this.
No, I can watch it.
Okay.
I just have I guess just a question from my understanding. The way it's set up then is it's only gonna work for the data they sent us. So if we were to put, for example, an average of 3, it wouldn't work.
It still works because I actually tried it. I used 11 and 3. It's just the idea that no matter what your average friends is, you're going to multiply that or divide it by 2 because it's always going to double in size. So if you have 10 users and you give them like the average, you're just starting from that, you're going to double that. And then I put 11 users, or no, I did, what did I do? I think it did like 50. And then I forget what I put the average was, but it always like it gets multiplied. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so just plug it into that equation that we had.
But if you did like the 11 and then you put in
I put
an average of 3.
it still printed out. I can do it really quickly and show you. It's
and that's what the double forward slash. Is that a forward slash? I confused the 2, but yeah, that's what that does. You make sure you get the floor instead of a float.
But then even when we do the floor, we would get 16. Isn't that bigger than the num count or the count of the numbers? Like you said, 11, right? 16 is bigger than 11.
So I put in 11 and 3. And even with that, here's all the 11 users. And then it just like, as Tani was saying, you get the random amount, but it's still, I mean, we could count each one of these to see how much it is. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So it's 32. So we could possibly say that we're at least going to get half or almost half doubled of friendships. If I'm thinking about that right, if I'm doing my math right.
Oh yeah, so it should work. It should work dynamically. dynamically because of the they're passing in the num of users parameter into that equation that they're using. I mean, they're just dividing by 2 because you can't be. I mean, like
You have to have at least 2.
my friendship with you and your friendship with me doesn't count as 2 friendships. It's actually just 1 friendship. But the way that they're putting it inside of the array of possible friendships, right? Like one can be friends with 3 can be friends with
And it goes in 2 directions. So technically, when you divide it by half, if
Yes.
I'm becoming friends with Tico, that just actually doubles because we're both friends. Because it's bi-directional.
Bi-directional,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this all makes sense now. Okay. Thank you. I highly appreciate it.
So you want to pull yours back up and then we want to fix it real quick or what?
After you wrote the whole thing. But I mean, I don't mind. But I mean, I don't know if you all want to watch me write my code.
Oh, you're gonna fix the whole thing? Oh, okay. All right.
My whole thing is way different. I mean, what I
I
did.
got you.
I mean, I
Okay.
can see if I can mess around with it. I'm not trying to.
Okay. I was thinking we could do a sprint review now. Somebody wants to pull up the README for the sprint for tomorrow, and then we could just go over that and just because it will start right after your lecture tomorrow.
What?
So
I'm sorry. Sprints tomorrow.
your sprint challenge starts tomorrow right after lecture.
So 2 days.
You'll have 2 hours. Yeah, you'll have 24 hours. So you'll have until
what?
2 p.m. Eastern Standard. So 11 a.m. Pacific, Friday.
It's the maze traversal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Somebody want to share that? That's why I want to go over it with you guys.
Yeah.
have-
Oh, can you like do like the stop recording again and do the
Sure.
just
Thanks.
thank you.
Good call. My director right there. And